I knew something was wrong the day I came back from deployment, and my son called me David instead of Dad. He was only 5, but kids sense things. And what he sensed was distance. Not mine. Hers. My name's Eric Thomas. I'm 40 years old, a career military man, 19 years in the U.S. Army, most of it in logistics. I've been stationed everywhere from Fort Hood to Kandahar, and I'm not ashamed to say the Army's shaped who I am. But home was always Idaho Falls. That's where I met Lisa, my wife. She ran a tiny organic grocery store back when Whole Foods wasn't a thing yet, and I used to come in just for the way she smiled when I made dumb jokes about almond milk. We started dating when I was 27 and she was 25, married within a year. Kids came later, Ethan first, then Ava. Lisa was the grounded one. I was the one who disappeared for months at a time. When we finally had enough savings, I proposed something bold. We open a new store together, a mix of organic products, a coffee corner, a community space. She lit up at the idea. And that's what we did. Even when I was deployed, we made it work. I'd handle supplier logistics remotely when I could. She ran the day-to-day. It gave her identity. It gave us a shared purpose. I trusted her, with the store, the money, the kids, everything. And for years, we were solid. I won't lie. Being married to a soldier isn't easy. She carried a lot, but we were a team, or so I thought. Cracks in the foundation. The change was slow, almost invisible at first, like a leak behind a wall you don't notice until it's too late. It started after I got back from a 6-month deployment in Syria. Normally, Lisa would meet me at the airport, crying before I even cleared the gate. This time, she just texted, "Keys under the mat. I'm tied up with a vendor meeting." I let it go. Told myself the store was under pressure, that she was probably just overwhelmed. But the house felt different, cold. I'd brought gifts, Turkish tea sets, handmade toys for the kids. Ava was excited. Ethan barely looked up from his iPad. When I hugged Lisa that night, her body didn't relax into mine. It was a polite hug, like something you'd give a neighbor. Then came the business meetings I wasn't invited to. I suggested we update the shop's online presence. She nodded absently and said, "I'll loop you in later." That later never came. I asked about numbers. She said the accountant handled it now. I asked who the accountant was. "David," she said. The name didn't ring a bell. She waved it off like it didn't matter. "He's a friend of Hannah's. We brought him on after the last guy messed up our tax filings." I knew Hannah, our store's assistant manager. Good kid. But something about the way she said "we" instead of "you and I," it didn't sit right. I did what most men do when they feel something's off but can't prove it. I buried myself in being useful. I fixed up the backyard, reorganized inventory, took the kids hiking. But every time I suggested a date night, she was too tired or had to check the new delivery from the supplier. Every excuse felt like a brick in a wall between us. One night, I tried to initiate something more. It had been weeks. She froze. "I'm just not in that headspace," she whispered. "It's not you. I'm just tired." I didn't press. I've seen men in my unit push too hard, confuse sex with connection. I didn't want to be that guy. Still, it gnawed at me. Signals I didn't want to read. Then came the phone calls, quick, whispered ones. Always when I wasn't supposed to be home. Once I walked in early from the store. I'd forgotten my wallet. I heard her in the kitchen, phone to her ear. She didn't hear me at first. "Don't say that," she was whispering. "He's back It's complicated. I can't just. She turned when she saw me. Smile. Fake. Wide. Tight. Hey, babe. That was, Janet from the supplier. Big mess on the invoices. Didn't sound like Janet, I said casually. She paused a second too long. You're right, she smiled again, almost amused. You got me. It was Hannah. We were gossiping. I didn't press. Again. The next day, I checked the caller ID. The number wasn't saved. Just a random Idaho number. I tried calling it. No answer, no voicemail, just silence. I started waking up in the middle of the night. Heart pounding. A feeling I knew well. Not from love. From combat. Except this wasn't the enemy. This was my wife. The last straw before the truth. One night I stayed late in the shop, pretending to take stock. Around 10:30 p.m., I saw her name pop up on our joint store calendar. Private meeting, 11 p.m. at the store. Alone? I drove back, parked across the street. Lights were on, her car was there, and another car, sleek, black, new. I didn't recognize it. I watched. At 11:06 p.m., the door opened. Lisa stepped out. She wasn't dressed for work. She was in that red coat she hadn't worn in years, hair curled, makeup flawless. Then a man stepped out after her. Tall, athletic, maybe late 30s. He leaned in, hand on her back. She laughed, then kissed his cheek, then his lips.
They didn't see me. I stayed frozen in the car, not crying, not screaming, just numb. I stayed an hour after they left, watching the light in the shop flicker, then go dark. The sign said, locally owned, family first. I sat there and realized our family was gone, and I never even saw it slipping through my hands. The confrontation. The next morning I made pancakes for the kids, sat at the table like nothing was wrong, while Ethan rambled about Minecraft and Ava fed bits of bacon to the dog. Lisa came downstairs in a robe, hair messy, eyes tired, like she hadn't just shattered the foundation of our marriage 8 hours ago. She kissed the kids on their heads, poured herself coffee, then looked at me. Something in my eyes must have given it away. Her expression faltered. You okay? She asked too casually. I know, I said quietly. She blinked. Know what? Last night, the man, the kiss, the lies. Silence, like a vacuum. Even the kids felt it. Ethan looked up, confused. Go to your rooms, I told them gently. Ava was already tense, like she understood more than she should have. Ethan protested, but I didn't raise my voice. Just waited. Eventually they went. Lisa stood frozen in the kitchen. You followed me, she finally whispered. That's what bothers you? Not what you did, but that I saw it? She sank into the chair across from me, rubbing her face with both hands. I didn't mean for it to happen. That line, so rehearsed, so useless. Who is he? She hesitated. David. Of course it was. He helped with the store after taxes got screwed up. We started working late, talking. One night I had too much wine and... Lisa. My voice was calm, too calm. Don't walk me through your little timeline. I don't care when the clothes came off. I care when you gave up on us and didn't have the guts to say so. She looked away. Tears started, but they looked more like shame than sorrow. I was lonely, Eric, she said. You were gone, always gone. And when you were here, your body came home, but your head stayed overseas. I nodded. So this is my fault. I'm not saying that. You are, just in more polite words. We sat there for what felt like hours. No yelling, no throwing plates, just this heavy final silence between two people who once couldn't go a day without touching. The fallout. I didn't explode. I didn't call him. I didn't threaten custody or lawyers. I just left, took a bag, some clothes, my duffel from Syria, that I hadn't even fully unpacked. Checked into a motel on the edge of town. Concrete floors, buzzing light, air that smelled like mildew and regret. I didn't tell anyone. Not my parents, not my brothers, not my commanding officer. I didn't cry either. That came later. What hit me hardest wasn't the betrayal. It was how much of me was wrapped up in us. I'd built a life around Lisa, around the idea of her, and suddenly it felt like none of it had been real. 2 days later, she texted, "We need to talk. About the kids, about the store." I ignored it. Then she sent a second one. "I told David it's over." I panicked. "I'm sorry. Please come home. Let's fix this." I read that message maybe 20 times. I thought of the kiss, the laughter, the quiet way she smiled at him. A smile I hadn't seen in years. And I realized, she might be sorry, but she wasn't mine anymore. The real conversation we met in a lawyer's office. Neutral ground. I didn't want the store. I didn't want the house. I didn't want revenge. Just peace. "I'll sign it all over," I told her. "Keep the store. Keep the house. But I want full say on where the kids live. I want 50-50 custody. If you fight me on that, I'll fight back." She nodded, biting her lip. "I don't want a war." "Good," I said, "because I've had enough of those." The lawyer was shocked how quickly we agreed. Most couples tear each other apart. We were just quiet, tired. 3 weeks later, I moved into a small rental across town. Bunk beds for the kids, photos on the wall. I kept it clean. Routine was my therapy. I'd pick up Ava and Ethan every other week. At first, they asked why I wasn't at home. I told them we were working on being better parents from different places. I didn't lie, but I didn't give them the ugly truth either. Not yet. The breaking point, again. One night, Ethan had a fever. Lisa called me in a panic. Her car battery was dead and David was out of town. She said it without thinking. "David." Silence on the line. "You said you ended it," I said. "I did, I tried. I don't know. He's been helping with the business. It's complicated." Number. "It's not," I said, and hung up. That was the moment something clicked. I wasn't her husband anymore, and she wasn't my wife. Not really, not emotionally, not morally. We were just co-parents now, and that was all. The reflection. It's been 8 months. I still wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, even on weekends. I run, I cook, I take the kids to school and smile at the other parents like I'm just another divorced dad trying his best. But inside, there's still a hollow place. Not rage, not grief, just absence. Lisa and I are civil, sometimes too civil. She still manages the store. I opened a logistics consulting business. Small, remote, boring, but stable. David, he's still around, at least from what the kids say. But I don't ask. I don't check her social media. I don't drive past the shop. The only thing I cling to is this. I showed up. I stayed faithful. I came home, even when she didn't. And that matters. Maybe someday I'll love again. Maybe not. But I'll never ignore the warning signs again. And I'll never stay in a place where I'm tolerated, not loved. Because I've seen what that silence leads to. And I'm done living in silence.